Bannerlord can be a brutally hard game. Often you're outnumbered and massive armies march against you. Well, in this new series, we're going to work together, friends. What I want you to do is send me your difficult situations that you're either currently encountering in Bannerlord in your campaign, or something that you've dealt with in the past where you're just unable to solve it. I will do my very best to handle these difficult situations. I will share the results on YouTube, provided they have some kind of educational value for people. We will take on these difficult challenges, do some battlefield analysis, and hopefully help you turn around a very, very difficult battle. So join me on this adventure. Please send me your difficult situations. Have a little patience. I don't know how many there are going to be, but I'm willing to take these challenges on for you fellas as we handle your disasters of war. Alright friends, welcome back again to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. Our YouTube channel is dedicated to all things Bannerlord related. And welcome back again to another one of our episodes of Disasters of War series. Now, my phone just died on me and I just started recording, but we're going to roll with this anyways. I should be able to paraphrase most of the stuff from the email. We are welcoming back a previous submission. This is someone who has written in before. In fact, I'm doing this entirely from memory, so we'll press my memory a little bit here. He said his name is Jacob. And he said he needs more help, especially against the Northern Empire here. He says he's made a new kingdom. He says the enemies are coming nonstop. What else did he say? Let's see. He said he's having financial problems. We'll look at that. And then he said he can't win a battle here. It looks like here he said Lucan is defeating him in battle. So I'm going to put the email up for you to read it while I mumble and sort of, I guess it's a memory check for me. You guys are reading it and I'm not. He said he lost twice to Lucan, so it sounds like he's tried this battle a number of different times. Let's see what's happening here. Okay, Lucan's coming our way towards the bridge. And then he says Lucan kills his character, and that is because this guy has a very interesting history in Calradia. So welcome back again to another one of our Disasters of War series. Let's look closer at this fellas here. Indeed, I remember this guy. This guy, Nadir Shah, who is a famous historical character. This guy, I did a little bit of sort of refresher on him. He was a dramatic military leader that came out of nowhere in Iran somewhere in the early to mid 1700s. He had a dramatic career before he was assassinated. He started off this campaign, and it says he died of natural causes here, but we know better, right? We deduced in the previous episode with this guy that this guy Jacob likes the executioner's axe, and this guy eventually got captured and executed. Now we're playing his wife here, Bolat, and it looks like she's been behaving. I don't see any executions here, although she's definitely taking prisoners, and I see her relations with these other kingdoms is still not good, right? Minus 100 here with Lucan. And I think in his email, he is intimating that his character gets killed. He also mentions do some upgrades to his characters, so maybe we'll get to that at some point. But this guy has a new kingdom. The last time we talked to this guy, I'm pretty sure he was still a vassal for the Southern Empire or Khazate. I can't remember which. I think it was Khazate. And we will jump into this campaign. It's going to be interesting to try to right the ship here. He said enemies are attacking him nonstop here. Now, he's got a castle under siege. Let's see his possessions here. Hakun, Yoguris. Oh, Yoguris is a good castle to defend. Siratos, and then he has 2 cities. Okay, now how about his diplomatic situation? Let's take a look here. You always got to get a full picture here. A 2-minute recap before you jump into somebody's campaign. He is at war with 5 kingdoms, including kingdoms that are a long ways away. And that happens sometimes, of course, when you declare independence. All these other kingdoms see you as pipsqueaks, and they want to fight. So, first things first, we have to figure out what to do here with this battle situation. Presumably, I mean, we could avoid combat here, but we're not going to do that, right? This is Tactical Enlightenment. We succeed through tactics on the channel, and we're going to continue to try to do so here. Now, let's make stock of what we have here. His army is banged up. It looks like he's been busy. In fact, I think his character thing said he just took a castle I didn't see which one, but he's been busy. He's got some injuries here, but he's got a really powerful army. But again, Jacob does not like to use archers, and this drives me crazy when I see you fellas sending in your save game with 10% archers, but it is what it is, right? We will try to pick up your campaigns as well as we can. He has 20 prisoners that we can recruit and 100% morale. So I think we fight here. He's got a good looking army. Lucan's army is of moderate strength. I would say it's kind of an average strength, because look at the bottom there. Khazate Noble Son, 34. That's the worst horse archer. Khazate Tribal Warrior, 62 in the middle there. That's one of the worst units they have. And then above that, 58 Imperial recruits, 74 Khazate Nomads. Basically, Lucan's bite, or his bark, is bigger than his bite here. I'm not that worried about his force. That said, obviously Jacob's been losing this. We got to make sure that we approach this tactically here. He's almost certainly going to attack us. Now, here's the benefit. There's 295 troops inside Makeb. So if we can succeed and force our way through this, then we'll be able to restock the army. But first things first, right? You gotta defeat our Imperial Emperor here, who has an accent from like Wales or Derbyshire or something like that. Now, Jacob looks like he's using a little bit different difficulty. We're not concerned about this, right? You guys write in with different difficulty settings. Nobody here on the channel will be making fun of you. Otherwise, I'll go to their house and beat their ass for you, right? We're going to protect all you fellas. There won't be any bullying on our channel. Not to mention, as other people have noted before, this is a single-player game. Nobody should be making fun of anything, especially these guys submitting their save games for us to play with here, for you guys to benefit from. This is one thing I'm going to do, though. I'm going to lower clan member death possibility to 0%, so no chance, and disable battle deaths for heroes. If we kill this guy's character, he's not going to want his save game back, right? So it looks like a grim situation here. But we've got a good army, we've got good tactics, and generally, anytime that little bar there is closer to the enemy than your number, in other words, the 4 there, I think we can win, especially with tactics. So, normal player damage, or at least Bannerlord player damage, make sure he's got that same. Has he got a range decrease? Melee decrease banner. He's still on horse with his crossbow, and I'm not sure he has the perk yet. There's a perk where you can reload your crossbow on horse. And I guess he has it? No, he doesn't. There it is. So this is actually a priority for this battle. We need to get Jacob 7, or at least in this episode, we need to give him 7 more crossbow points, and then he'll be able to shoot his crossbow on horse. Right now, he's got to get off his horse to shoot his crossbow, and that doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Otherwise, you might as well just have melee weapons. All right, let's see what we got going on here. Now, there's good news and good news. This is a good battlefield. He doesn't have a lot of archers, but he has archers on horse, right? Otherwise known as horse archers. And we're going to be able to use this battlefield. And I think we're going to make a bridge stand here. Now, the difficulty with that is reinforcements will come out behind us here. We tried to match up our mods to Jacob's, and he was not using the battle size mod. So we have not selected it here. And it looks like we have... It's hard. It's always hard to count. You got to kind of count all the divisions. It looks like we have about 270. Here, I can do this. 270. Oh, 316 troops on the battlefield. I think that's enough for us to get to the beach. Reinforcements will come out here, but we'll deal with that. Let's go ahead and set up the divisions. It's actually pretty close to how we had it set up before. I wonder if that means, Jacob, are you trying to emulate us here on the channel? If you are, good for you, man. I mean, it's not common that we have people writing in and they are, operating 8 divisions. Maybe he was operating 7 or something like that. Either way, man, kudos if you are trying to operate all the divisions. I'm impressed. A lot of guys can't handle 8 divisions. Maybe we'll talk about that span of control in this episode, and maybe we won't. Now, I want to get down to the beach, but I'm also going to take advantage, I think at least temporarily, of this Peekaboo Ridge. In fact, we're going to sacrifice some horsemen here. How do we do this? Let's see. Let's do all... yeah, we'll make a huge 7th division, almost entirely all our horse archers in the 7th division, the 8th division, 2nd division can be sacrificed, 1st division can be sacrificed while those guys peel over. What we're going to do here is use 2 different divisions as sacrificial divisions, the 1st and the 2nd. Which means your husband, of course, he can't die because of the settings we have. We're going to use them on this ridge here. Now, this ridge is not super evident to a non-experienced player. and maybe even an experienced player is wondering what the hell I'm talking about, where we are, of course, going to use the landscape in this episode and all episodes to try to win battles. Now, I'm probably going to dismount these horse archers. We'll see what this looks like. 8th, 7th. Yeah, I think we're probably going to do that. 8th and 7th. We might even dismount both of them. Let's see, the 8th, we can probably park right there at the entrance to the beach. All right, let's stop talking and start fighting. We're going to move up quickly here to this ridge. This is sort of a classic peekaboo ridge from a terrain perspective. Now, we're not going to spend 30 minutes describing this, but there's the beach. That's where our retreat is in case things go badly, which is almost certainly going to happen here, right? The 2nd Division of Cavalry, I'm positioning right at the base of this hill because I want the enemy to sort of run into it with their cavalry. I also want protection from their horse archers. How many horse archers do they have? No. 62 horse archers. Okay. So we're going to make an initial stand here, and we'll see if we can't press them back. We're going to put archers back here on this back ridge. These horse archers are jamming me up already. We may eventually get these horse archers onto foot, but for now, let's keep them on their horses. That way they can still move around the battlefield quickly. I know it looks like chaos right now. The other thing I want, though, is I want infantry sort of facing the enemy over here. The 2nd Division is there. That's cavalry and a shield wall. The 1st Infantry is sort of facing them. And the 3rd and 6th, I'm actually going to pull way back. I'm going to try to get these guys basically on the way to be heading down towards that beach, right? That beach is on my mind. That's probably one of the best tactical advantages in all of Bannerlord, that landscape, and that should serve us very well here. Now we got a flag bearer here. Let's cut this guy down. Oh, you bastard. Got a nasty hit in, and then I got shot to pieces. You pick up these characters, and man, it doesn't take long for you to get killed, right? I'm already down to half health. We can at least get a little bit of revenge here, but man, I got to remember that I'm controlling a weak character. When I control like Baron York for an episode, and then all of a sudden I switch to these guys, it's a whole new ball game, right? It's just very, very different. All right, so their infantry's coming in. We're going to start to kite back here with the 7th and 8th. Let's move the 8th back first. We'll start putting a little bit of range between us and the enemy units. I'm going to square this infantry already, right? In fact, let's get these horse archers moved back. The enemy horse archers are now behind us, which is great news, right? Come this way, you bitches. Right, they're just running right into our infantry and our cav line here. We could just square these guys and put them... Well, they're giving me a hard time here with the UI. But their infantry's already kind of plowing in, and that is disconcerting. Both our cavalry and our infantry lines there are in squares, so that'll give them a little bit of protection. And I'm preemptively kiting back here with our archer divisions. This is a lot of enemy cavalry. I did not anticipate a huge amount of heavy cavalry pouring in. That's disconcerting. We do have some decent cav here because the 8th Corps is here. But man, this is a lot messier than I wanted to see early in this battle. I'm already just going to shove our archers down to the beach. The 3rd and 6th down to the beach. Horse archers are getting fucking mauled. Man, this is an aggressive enemy attack. Usually they don't come in this hot, and it is disconcerting me early on in this battle. Of course, we have to get down to the beach, otherwise we are going to get shredded in 60 seconds. Now, the main character here is already hurt, right? It's very difficult to lead and then to fight, of course, when your main character is at a 1/3 of health before the battle even gets going. Oh shit, their enemy is coming in extraordinarily hot. Let's go, boys. We got to get down here in a hurry. The good news is that we have only horse archers left out there on the battlefield. Let's get these archers spread out down here. There's one other really nice piece of good news. We are going to get reinforcements, but most of our very best troops are down here. And what I mean by that is our reinforcements, I didn't look at the settings, but they should be our weakest troops. Let's see, how do we do this? Let's put the horse archers way over there. The 8th Corps, what I'm actually going to do is going to shove them in a square, which looks weird because it's horse archers, but right into that little gap. And the reason is because I'm going to dismount them. The horse archers can stay on foot, or on horse. I've got an infantry division on each side, basically ready to jam up this Thermopylae type pass. And now this 8th division I want off the horse, right? We're going to bring these guys down here. This is the 4th Archers. We're going to put this 8th Corps basically right next to him, right behind him / right next to him. And what's nice is all of these horses are now in the fucking way of the enemy, right? It looks ugly and the death spam looks worse, but suddenly the enemy is very bound up. On top of that, of course, they are looking at, you know, what do we have, 150 archers here, 170 archers, give or take, and we've got pretty good archers at this stage. I know the enemy has more troops than us. In fact, we'll look at the little screen here shortly. Right, that's way more troops than we have. But we do have 2 squares. It's a pillar defense. It's a false gap, only it's with ranged units. So it's the ranged false gap, this tactic that we're using right here. And you see the enemy sort of coming down right there. They're pushing through some infantry, but a lot of their guys are being attracted to the squares. That makes them dead meat. And all we have to obtain at this stage is about a 3-to-1 kill ratio. 2, maybe a 3-to-1 kill ratio, right? So we're going to augment these forces that are down here, try to occupy them. And there's one other thing we could do here to help, too. We're going to charge with the 4th and 5th. That way, any units that are out of ammo, here they come, right? This dipshit with the flag comes running up. You don't really want the flag guy running up because he's going to get destroyed. But the units like Sergeant Crossbow that don't have a shield, they will come running up, right? They will, not that don't have a shield, that are out of ammo, they will come running up and add their weapon to the fray. We're also going to charge with the 8th Corps here. Don't forget the 8th Corps, or at least, how could you forget? I didn't tell you in the first place. The 8th Corps has some cavalry, and that is because I made it a mixed division at the start. Those guys now join the fray here. You know, and those are decent cavalry. That's your Vanguard Ferris and stuff like that. They're going to start jamming the enemy out. Now, we are going to get reinforcements at some stage, right? We are definitely going to get... I'm getting staggered by a horse. We are going to get reinforcements, but it's going to be messy because it's going to be out there in the fray. It's going to be really a bad spot for those reinforcements. They're going to be left out in the lurch, basically like, what the fuck is this, right? Who the fuck decided to go to the beach and not give us an invitation? Well, that's simply because of the nature of this system. You can only get so many units on the battlefield at the same time. We try to respect what mods these guys say they use, right? So when guys say, get the fuck out of here. Can't you tell I'm busy here trying to level up a crossbow skill, fucker? You know, when guys have certain mods or mods that we don't have, right? You don't really want to, basically have a highly different configuration because then it's not really an accurate simulation. If guys have, for example, RBM, right? We're going to try to load up these challenges with RBM. And of course, if they have the battle size mod, right, we'll fight with battle size. Some battles, it changes things, right? Having certain mods here. So we try to make things relatively equal. Now, their cavalry is jammed up something fierce, partly because there's a bunch of dead horses, partly because we have units in there trying to advance. So it's messy for the enemy. And our job, obviously, is just to try to pick off the guys that get into our backfield here. Anytime a cavalryman gets back here, smoke one of your own dudes, and you help out your side here. Not our cleanest battle by any stretch. I'm almost dead, in fact. Keep getting staggered by horses. Somehow I missed and went right through the guy. But I like the setup here, right? And don't forget, we do have some reinforcements out there. Or at least I would suspect they're out there. What I'm going to do to make sure that they are active is charge with the 7th and 8th Division. Now, our guys will move forward, but there's an advantage to that. You see the guys that are running up? Some of these horse archers are out of ammo, too. So the ones that have ammo will shoot, like the cons guards, and the rest of them will come roaring up here with vigor. Now, very messy. I would not say this is our most beautiful tactical battle, but that's okay, right? We narrate these and fight these battles live, and sometimes it's going to look messy, right? Sometimes guys, they appreciate it when we struggle some on the channel. So here you go, right? This is just a little struggle for you in this episode. Now, the enemy has tons of recruits and other trucks and whatnot down here, but they are just fodder for this gal's axe. Get in here and butcher some of these peasants. I should just shoot them, right? Because we need some kills to get her crossbow skill up. I wonder if Lucan is back here too. I can't help but wonder if the Emperor is in that mass. So we'll try to gun down some Khazate here and improve crossbow skill. Bolat, is that this unit, his name? Now the enemy looks like they're getting reinforcements, so I'm probably vulnerable here to getting speared. But notice how I'm using this horse, right? You do that so that if all of a sudden there's a cavalryman charging you, you can just simply duck behind it. Every once in a while, of course, I was going to say you try to reset the horse. Doesn't matter now. Our horse is, we're out of here. We're not going to be used as a human shield anymore. Fuck you. And victory, right? Very messy, very ugly. I would not say that was a picture perfect tactical example. But how could it be, right? We fight hundreds of battles for the channel. We narrate these live. Sometimes these battles are going to look a little messy. But victory is victory. Now, this battle, it's just the first of several for this. I should have mentioned that there will probably be 2, maybe 3 or 4 episodes for this recovery. He did not specify an amount of time, although I think he said a month or something like that. 2 months, I guess that is, technically an amount of time. But our main thing we want to do here is try to get Jacob some breathing room. We have to figure out the fiscal situation. We have to figure out how to get peace, how to get affordable peace, right? He obviously is hemorrhaging funds. We've got to figure out some way to fix that part. And they will remember that. And see, I cannot shoot from horseback. So Jacob still lacks that perk. I don't think we got him enough kills there for that to go up to 175. Yeah, we got 3. Well, we'll keep that for you, Jacob. You got revenge on Lucan in that battle, right? That counts, right? We killed the Emperor in that battle. So it was messy overall from a tactical perspective. But this guy, he probably wanted to execute Lucan. That's even better, right? Because now we don't suffer the requisite... you don't suffer the huge relation drop, although it was already minus 100, so maybe it wouldn't have mattered. There I go again, getting overzealous with prisoners. Do some upgrades for you here, bud, and then we'll try to figure out this next step. Now we've got to try to figure out this fiscal situation. Garrison and party expenses, minus 10,000, and then look at the tribute payments, right? Minus 3,600. That's a problem. Well, we have our kills down, but the enemy had some death, that's for sure, right? Lots of death for the enemy here. And we've still got this castle down there. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to make it there, but that's probably our next objective. So let's see. Let's go ahead and ransom these prisoners. We need the money. You need the money, something fierce. Minus 12,000 for tribute? What the fuck is going on here? Minus 12,000. Oh, shit. Okay, Jacob, we got to fix this shit, man. You are paying way, way too much money for peace here to the Southern Empire. 12,000? 12,000 for the sturgeons too? So that number is actually wrong. It's going to go up. Wow. Do we have anybody? No, of course, nobody's paying us. So here's how you want to see the diplomatic side of things. When you're playing Bannerlord and you have a tribute payment like that, that is like fucking fatal. Right? He is paying, he's going to be broke from basically paying off these kingdoms. So let's talk about that shit for a second. Let's look at the situation first and then decide which one of these treaties we're going to rip up, because we can't continue like this. The Sturgeons are here. The Southern Empire is here. The Northern Empire is to the south. The Khazate are starting to get kind of compressed. They're a lot smaller. We need to basically, even though we're at war with 5 kingdoms, which seems like a lot, none of these kingdoms will pay us for peace, right? And that is because, of course, we're a little pipsqueak kingdom. This is what happens when you declare yourself a kingdom in Bannerlord. The other kingdoms, they have 9 cities and 4 castles. They see you the same way that Amazon sees that little hardware store down the end of the street, as someone to absorb and or destroy. They see you not as a threat, but as a target, right? So they're not about to pay us for peace. So what we have to do is basically punch them in the face repeatedly until they beg for peace. Now you look at these different power levels, all of these kingdoms have manifestly stronger power than you. And it may be that the fact that you're killing people makes it worse, right? Like, I don't know. Do we have any clans here? Okay, he's got... That looks like he made a clan here. Shakin Durin Aldusinate? Afsharid Sultanate. I don't know if he's role-playing here or if this fella... He might be Arabic. I don't know. either way, you know, right on. He's got some really authentic looking clan names. Sultanate. That's usually, people would assume that's Aserai. I could be totally ignorant. But we've basically got to tear up one of these treaties. So this is the bottom line: is we can't sue for peace, right? We can't pay 10,000 more to the Khazate, right? We will be literally broke within a couple of turns. Even this cheap one, the Valandians, they want 2,300. Well, fuck them, right? They're hundreds of miles away. They're welcome to come and attack us, I guess, if they want to cross the whole map of Calradia. But one of these two other kingdoms, we have to at least get one of those off the books, right? You need to see this like liabilities, like credit card debt. We must eliminate one of these credit card debts here. They're both about equal kingdom strength, but let's see who they're fighting, right? Let's see who the Southern Empire and the Sturgeons are fighting. I love it. Lucan died in battle. Eat shit. Okay, so the Southern Empire is fighting nobody, right? So if there was someone that we wanted to stay at peace with, it would be them. Why? Because if we all of a sudden declare war on them, which is what we're going to have to do, right? In order to get rid of that treaty, we're going to have to declare war, propose war. They will come right for us, right? The Sturgeons, let's see if they're at war. Usually they're at war with somebody else, Matt, but if you're, okay, good. At least the Sturgeons are theoretically occupied. They're at war right now with Valandia, and only Valandia. That means you can't actually see their armies, but there's a decent chance that they have armies marching or gathering in the field right in here. That means that even if we declare war on them, it might be a week or more before they show up. They might not show up at all if they're busy enough out east. So we take that Sturgeon peace treaty and we piss on it, and then we shove it in the mouth of the next time we see the ambassador for Sturgia, right? We basically say, to hell with your 12,000, you bitches. Even right now, we could look at that. We could get peace for cheaper, which is almost like refinancing your house, right? You should every once in a while, you should sort of see if they're willing to take peace for a lower level, right? Just like the banks sometimes will take less interest for your home. This is the next step, right? We're going to try to get to Hakun Castle, but first, let's get some healthy troops. Okay, I think we already recruited this town. We got to sell some goods here. We got to get some cash, right? We have 116. At this stage, every single town, we're going to try to sell shit. Now, we're not going to sell your best stuff, but we're going to go into all your broken, studded leather waistcoats and shit like that. We're just going to sell all of this every single time. Now, this town, I didn't look up, but they must not have very much money, which sucks, right? Because we need money, and these towns are going to be almost our only way to get money, at least for a little while. We're going to sell all the war booty, right? We're going to essentially rely on that war booty to get your financial situation fixed. Now, your workshops aren't functioning. It looks like you've got them set up, but they're not profitable, which means basically the economy is shitty and there's an overage of the type of goods they're making, and so those guys won't make goods, which is also negative. You got a whole bunch of negative shit going on here, brother. Sometimes there's not much you can do about that. Now, some people would argue just let that castle go. You're probably not going to make it. I'm going to try to race there, but we want to do it efficiently. We're a little bit overburdened here. So we're going to put a little bit of food. Hopefully you're starting to put food in the stash. In fact, I think I vaguely remember from the email. Good. This guy is starting to put stuff in the stash. It's a critical part of Bannerlord. As you develop overages of stuff, you need to put that shit in the stash. Now, part of our overage here is simply war booty. This guy's got so much, he's obviously getting kills with his army because he has a bunch of influence and he has upgraded troops. They're all the telltale signs that Jacob is having success. We just need to fine-tune some of the components of his campaign. Now, my brain has been scattershot all over the place, so let's figure this out. So the money situation is bad, but it should start to improve. At least one of our expensive war treaties we threw out. We're now at peace with the Southern Empire, which is good, although they don't have any towns. I wish they had a couple, 3 towns down here because we would hit their towns to sell shit. Amprella we can go to, but that's going to take a little bit of while. It's very difficult to get to this castle in time. They're already sieging it. The way you could tell they're sieging is when you zoom into the castle. I'm waiting for you to hear the little sounds. You can sort of hear like the sounds of catapults and shit like that. Every once in a while there's a big boom and shit like that. That means the city's being actively sieged. The other way you can tell is that number of defenders will go down over the course of days. They clearly have a ram and a siege tower. It's going to be hard to get there, but I think that'll be our mission, is to try to race down there. Before we do that, very quickly here, we're just going to put some of these injured troops. In particular, we're going to put some of these lower level troops. In fact, let's take a peek at one of your other armies here. You don't want to be roaming Calradia with a bunch of ghetto troops. So let's take a look. Yeah, see, this guy's got a bunch of nomads. This is exactly how you lose open field battles, is having a commander like that. We're also going to turn that guy into an attack dog division. You guys hear me talk about it all the time. In fact, watch this. I'm just going to take the whole garrison, and now we will sort from the bottom, right? And I know this is 30 seconds, and some guys are falling asleep already. We're going to basically leave a bunch of these scrub troops. We're going to take a few more archers than we have in the past, right? Jacob has this aversion to archers, but hopefully this episode will help. He's got tons of infantry here, too many infantry. I mean, you know, infantry can be actually used quite effectively with horse archers, but not that many, right? He's got 200 infantry. I would have the ratio the other way around, like 200 horse archers and 100 infantry, because you can make 2-3 squares with your infantry and then just circle with horse archers. It's very effective. It's a little boring. But it can be quite effective. Wow, you must have high-end infantry, because 57 dark cans. All right, let's pack another 40 of these guys into the city. Heavy horse archers. Man, you got a lot of... Jacob's got a very powerful army. It's very expensive, though, too. That's part of the reason he's hemorrhaging cash here. We get a little autosave is good, because sometimes people's save games are not super stable. So, man, minus 12,000. Let's go ahead and make this guy a cavalry commander, right? A fast-moving cavalry commander. These other divisions will be able to boost them as well. You know, we took a lot of losses in that battle, and of course, we're going to continue to take losses as we roam. We need to get these guys stocked up. This guy here, now we're making him an attack dog. Basically, this guy is going to function as our fast companion that tracks down little scrubby fucks that are raiding villages and shit like that. And of course, we'll illustrate that at least a time or two here. More than likely, we're going to be able to catch some raiders. So we give him all cavalry. I don't know if you saw that. He has all horse archers and all cavalry. That means that when we do release that guy out into the wilderness, so to speak, he will rocket after whatever target we're near, and that will be precisely what we want him to do, right? They will run him down, we will gun him down, and then we will move on. And we have way too many troops. Okay, we're probably going to have to leave a few more troops in the garrison here. You want to take as many troops as you can, right? In between different locations, in between different fights, because we're going to be fighting very large armies in this campaign. The bottom line is that Jacob is outnumbered, and on some level, he's outgunned. Now, if we can make our own army stronger than these enemy forces, we got a shot, right? That's the key to victory, is making sure that the quality of our forces are better than the enemies, right? If they have better quality troops than us and more of them, very, very hard to win under those conditions. Can be done still, but very, very hard to win. All right, so we're going to have to stick a few more troops here. I don't think I can make any more parties. I can't. So we'll stick a few more troops here in the garrison, and then we'll be on our way. We're going to try to race down to Hakun Castle. I'm going to leave a few more infantry here. He really does have too many infantry still. I don't like more infantry than archers and horse archers. If you have more infantry than archers and horse archers, I think already your army's a little bit whacked, a little crazy. And he does have even though they're higher end infantry, it's still just a lot of infantry, right? These guys, there's only so much infantry that are beneficial for a battle here. All right, I guess we're leaving some of these lower level guys. I don't want to leave the archers though. Man, this is, it's been kind of a challenge to reduce his numbers. Sometimes you have so many good troops that it's not easy to go through your army and be like, all right, I got to drop 3 of these guys and 4 of those guys. He's got a really powerful army. I mean, I'm leaving in the city here troops that, I kind of feel like I'm going to regret. I don't want to start leaving like legionary and stuff like that. But that's going to have to work. The city is stable. The food stocks are good. And now it's a matter of racing down to Lochana. Now, we're moving about as fast as we can move here. Right? If you look at our party speed, if you look at the negatives, there are very few things that are negative on that list. We have a few too many prisoners. And it looks like we have just a little bit more cargo than you can efficiently carry. But I've talked about this before. Castles hold out pretty well, right? That defender's number there towards the bottom is what you're staring at as you're traversing from one location to another here. We're chasing some Khazate. 140. It starts to collapse at 30. So a city collapses very quickly at 100. Castles collapse at 30, right? So we should make it. It's going to be close. Oh, there's hardly any attackers anyways. We'll be able to auto-resolve, which is good. Oh, shit, they flat out ran. All right. Might be able to get our attack dog guy on here. I wonder if they're just going to run the opposite way. Let's see what else is going on here. You got all kinds of shit on fire here, right? So some people would just abandon this castle. It's almost a liability, or it's going to be very hard to defend that. At this stage, right, there's all kinds of other troops around here. Let's start cleaning. Let's start taking out some of this trash, right? You got this attack dog division. Look at this dipshit right in front of us. He sieges. No one's ever accused the AI of being brilliant, huh? I'd like to run him down too. Let's see. Let's run this guy down first. We'll come back for this dipshit sieging it. And this is where the attack dog comes in handy, right? This guy is now out of our army. What I'm going to do is you pursue this guy here for a little bit. And you call in your attack dog and say, this guy here, right? You basically want to follow him. He's technically part of our army, right? But as we get closer to this guy, he should hone in on him, right? Okay, we're being besieged, of course, right? This is going to happen over and over again. Now, I don't know if this goes through. I think this is a dead end. So I think either way, this guy's fucked. But we're not going to take any chances here. Yeah, we're fucking caught. These singular armies can do you a lot of damage in a campaign like this, right? Because they will simply wear out your villages. Especially this is bad with the castle, because what happens, of course, is your castle starves. Once the troops are all injured, the castle's gone, and it just has no chance of defending. I mean, it's absolutely toast. All right, so Yogurus, we got to get there, right? You can see why a lot of people in this situation would get frustrated. Jacob is dealing with multiple castles. There's multiple villages that are on fire here. I didn't see... That's the Khazate. This one in front of us is the Khazate. And we're just going to smash this army really quick. Now, your attack dog division, I'm leaving him loose right now. Look at, he just honed in on that guy. I'm actually just going to let him fight there. It's dangerous because he can get ganged up on. In fact, I think we can do both, but this is going to be challenging. We're going to auto-resolve this, even though we'll suffer way more losses than realistically we should. There's absolutely no chance we would have lost 100 troops there. So that's, you know, that's kind of painful. I could make this a 3-hour episode, though, if we fought out every little battle like that. So some of these we will auto-resolve, even at the expense of our army here. Now, another thing I'm dealing with here that's kind of a bummer. Okay, they are closing in on him. We're going to shove a few troops in here. Not a lot. We really can't afford that many, right? Because we have these other challenges going on. Let's see here. Very painful to let these high-end troops go. This castle probably is a liability. Like, the longer I stare at this, the more I realize this is probably not tenable. Now, our attack dog division's getting attacked, right? He's getting ganged up on. The good news is because we gave him some higher-end troops, he'll survive, right? He'll make it till we get there. He's going to be thrilled to see us. These Khazate forces won't be, right? They get fucking ganged up on and mauled. We ass-jam their fight. We're now going to be able to add him back to the army. Now, he probably suffered 20 losses there, 20 deaths, right? Because these guys don't have great skills. So that's going to be sort of painful. But we can add him, and now we're in a little bit of a race to get to Yogurus. He's back in our army. Yogurus is not under siege yet, but it's going to be. And this is, I've got to go around here. It's like an upside-down horseshoe. This castle, you know what? We're just not going to be able to defend it. You can only be in so many places at once, right? As in one. And in this instance, it's so far away from the rest of our holdings. Our only real option to defend this would be to beg Khazate for peace. Now, you want to keep glancing. There's no reason not to keep glancing. Last time they wanted 11,000. It's down to 9,800. We still can't afford that, right? We're hemorrhaging funds left and right still. When we look at our diplomacy. Now, the Khazate are sieging here, and we've got a time problem. This is going to be perilously close. We've got our 473. Of course, that same army is sieging behind us, and that's what I mean, right? You just can't afford to be in two spots at the same time. That's why you want to make player clans, but you also very much want to put your forces near each other. This is the outlier, quite literally, from the rest of our different assets here, I would recommend like an Epinosa castle or a Myzia or something like that. That castle, especially with that whole U-shaped travel, is just too far away. There's 2 or 3 other locations that are closer than it. I would recommend you just simply pass on it. So there's 2 huge Khazate forces here. Now, before we engage them, we're going to attack this little fuck here, right? This little guy who's running from us. We're going to take advantage of this guy. We're bringing our little attack dog. Now, it'll take 4, 5, 6 seconds for him to catch up to us because he's disorganized. You dump off and disband a unit like that. Look at his speed, 1.5. Unfortunately, this Northern Empire army, the AI just simply doesn't understand this concept. Now, we're actually almost chasing him down ourselves. We're going to be able to, I think, unless he hits the open field and all of a sudden sprints off. I'm watching the castle. Yeah. Oh, it's the Empress. It's the new Empress. Maybe we kill her in combat too. It's tempting, again, to fight that because I bet we lose like 80 troops here. It's just not a thing. If we fought that, we would have lost like 20. Should we execute her? Just mow through all the Northern Empire leaders here. Now, the theme also you're starting to see here is the Northern Empire is going to be asking for peace soon, right? We killed their emperor. We slammed their larger force. We just captured their other empress. In this case, we're just going to hold her. And, you know, this number is starting to go down. I actually don't remember the initial number, but that number will start going down because they're feeling the heat, right? They're getting their asses kicked here. Now, the castle's holding, and we're going to get into this castle. This castle is one of the better castles to defend in Bannerlord, and I will show you precisely why. Of course, castle defense is a specialty on the channel. I want our little attack dog to be with us just in case it's harder than I suspect. It's going to be 1,500 Khazate. This little bit of time in between battles doesn't hurt because we can heal up a little bit. Let's look at the details here. We have a catapult. Looks like they have a ram and a siege tower, and I just don't think they have any chance. This is easily the biggest player advantage, is that, well, first, we might be able to just send troops, but we don't need to, right? With expert siege skills, siege tactics on the channel that I think are fairly replicatable. In other words, I think even players without a huge amount of experience should be able to do what we're about to do here. You know, you can just sort of crush the enemy from one siege to another. This is part of the reason that we use the Strengthen AI mod. Now, this guy is using the Strengthen AI mod. I mentioned that the previous time with him. The Strengthen AI mod is not something you want to, is not something you really suggest for someone who's having a hard time, right? If you're sending in your campaign on the Disasters of War series, and you're using the Strengthen AI mod, and I think I mentioned it the first time, you might want to, you know, not use the Strengthen AI mod. I mean, it's a high degree of difficulty of the knowing. I think that's an engineer. We probably should have involved him here, but too little too late here. All right, so let's set up our troops here. This is going to be a smashing. We should be able to do this pretty quickly. Let's go ahead and move our fire catapult right here. You always want to combine your fire catapult with a location where you can just mangle the enemy at multiple locations. They're going to get their siege ladders up here, right? Well, we're going to be able just to rain fireballs down on their head. We'll probably be able to blow up their siege tower here. We've got 4 infantry divisions, which is just overkill, right? In fact, we have a huge amount of troops here. It feels actually like we have the Strengthen AI mod. I've got so many troops I can make a savage javelin division here. We're going to make a skirmisher division, 1 first division at the gate here. I mean, this is going to be bad. I'm actually confused why we have so many troops, but we will figure it out. Well, I mean, one thing, of course, is we don't have a huge amount of archers, right? Jacob just doesn't have a lot of archers. Now, it's very tempting to put archers up here. Absolutely not. These guys have 0 cover. Talk about fucking fish in a barrel. Even these guys down here. Now, these guys come auto set, right? If you don't do anything, those guys will sit right there. I don't recommend it, right? Those guys are fish in a barrel. We've talked about it 1,000 times on the channel. Your job as commander is to make sure that your archers are off the walls, right? That is almost an automatic every battle. And I recommend you put these guys in line formation. Otherwise, they will take off and try to man the walls somewhere. This is where you want to be. Look at this fucking nasty thing. We can just get this savage line up and down the stairs. Anybody coming through the gate is going to get shot to pieces. There's another little walkway over here. We can get some troops sort of lined up and shit. Let's see. Let's put this We put the 8th there. Let's put the 7th in a big spray. We'll put the 5th and 6th somewhere else. But the 7th can go right here. We'll turn this screen here so you can see it a little better. This 7th Division, I'll just spread them out, and they can go up the stairs as well. Those guys have line of sight on the guys at the door. They have line of sight here on the walls. And talk about fucked. I mean, capital F-U-C-T here for the enemy. We could put another nice little archer division here. Spread them out that way, you know, most of them can see. Some of these guys can't see, but honestly doesn't matter, right? This is so many guys firing into there that it's going to be a shredding. Last archer division here. What do we have? The 5th, 6th. That's the 6th. So we have the 6th left. We can definitely just put the 6th, something like this. If for some reason that siege tower makes it, and that's possible, right? If for some reason their siege tower makes it up on that side, we'll deal with that. For now, 1st Division down there. In fact, we have so many troops here, we can just put that division there preemptively. The 3rd Division can be halfway up there. Over here, probably put them back a little bit here. Although this is perfectly acceptable as well, right? There's really no reason to use this fancy boat dock. This would be amazing with players, but with the PC, with how they don't take cover, I think this is how you want to do this. And I'm pretty sure this keep siege is going to be like, maybe we'll have 30 losses or 50 losses. These archers can be hit here, but barely, right? It's a long ways away. Meanwhile, that whole time all those guys are shooting, that's going to be some nice firepower for our troops here. You got a couple dipshits running to get on this catapult, but we want this shit, right? Out of the way here. They're going to fire it off probably and hit the next village, right? That shot, it just goes over almost everything. These dipshits don't even try to hit the siege tower. Now, we might be vulnerable here, and this is what I was saying. We might not be able to destroy that siege tower. We'll see if we can dial it in here or not. You know, there's a chance that we're not safe here. Not every castle has safe line of sight for catapults. It's very much hit and miss. Right? Some castles have great line of sight, like I'm getting shot. It actually took me, I was gonna say it took me off the catapult. And just continue to dial this siege tower. See how it's kind of right between those two little ropes at the end of it? That should be pretty much dead center onto that catapult, or onto that siege tower. Bam, 2 hits. 2 more hits here, and then we'll have all these fire catapults to fire away. Now, I do observe arrows flying over our head here, right? The enemy is shooting at our archers, but it's long distance shots, right? Those shots are okay here. And if you're gonna miss, that's how you want to miss. Now, I'm being sort of peppered, but it's doing 1 and 5 or whatever. It's acceptable damage, right? It's not too big of a concern yet. Although us missing is a little bit of a concern. Let's go ahead and hold fire with that skirmisher division. Skirmishers, you want to keep that division there basically locked and loaded for when the enemy sends troops through the gate, right? When they send troops through the gate, it'll be scores at a time. That's when you want to open fire with those skirmishers. Don't waste their javelins on 1 or 2 guys at a time, because they will throw 37 in a row at, starting to really get smoked here. They will throw 37 javelins at the first guy over the wall, right? We're going to make sure that they use their weapons efficiently. Now, I'm doing this just to avoid damage. Get over there, you stupid fuck. Look at, he takes the worst pathfinding possible. All right, yeah, get over here. They're throwing shit at us now. We should be able to. It's close though, right? In fact, he fucking lowered the setting on that thing horribly. This fucking guy here. Yeah. Fucking stupid ass. Fuck no. And try to adjust our shit some more horribly. His friend is just as dumb. So we got a little bit of a debacle here. At least we killed the Lord. But the good news is that the siege tower, despite this debacle, is still in line of sight, right? We gotta increase the setting here and not get smoked. We're definitely at risk, but that should do it. Yeah. Guys went flying all over the place. They got drilled. All right, now these turds start pouring up here. Ooh. I do see a good reason to bring this division forward. So this is where you want to use that infantry, right? I didn't have them move up yet. Now you do want to move them up, right? Because I want to access this, right? These dipshits are going to try to push their way to the front door. This is also where it's okay to start using your skirmishers, right? When you have a very important mission, in this case, my mission is simple. I want to get to these fireballs. If the enemy's attacking me here, I'm not going to be able to, right? It's going to be a lot harder. I'm trying to ignore the guys that are running all around me and shit like that. There's all kinds of carnage because I'm killing just dozens of guys here, right? The temptation is to fight. Don't do that shit. Let your troops, they're in a square there. They're holding back the avalanche for now. You know, you kill scores of troops, and of course you're getting all kinds of EXP for this shit. It's just the enemy's getting blown up en masse. Now we're out of ammo, now we can fight. Alright, I hear yelling and screaming. Right, the enemy's pushing through a bunch of troops here through the gate. Now we tell these skirmishers, fire away, and the javelins start to fly. In fact, these dipshits push archers through the gate. So we remind them that the rules of the keep siege, there's no archers allowed in the courtyard. You guys all pay the toll. And realistically, you don't want to do anything here. Like, just let the enemy come in and get melted on your square. The only way you're doing anything other than just taking out the occasional guy here is if there's a huge breach. These 2 or 3 guys at once have no chance, right? They're going to get completely shredded by your archers. Now, we no longer need these guys there, right? Because that fireball pile is gone. Right, let's pull them down here. We want them right on the stairs here. That way they're in full line of sight of all these archers. We have scores of archers. You can see them up there. Or not Fiend Champs necessarily, but Khans guards, archers all over the place. These skirmishers are still chucking javelins into the enemy. In fact, this is where you reload, right? If you're throwing a character with throwing skill. Now, this is a perfect opportunity to get Jacob to 175 crossbow, right? You get the enemy coming through like 5 at a time. You can wax some Khans guards here with virtually no danger. We even have a second division here, and you say, what's this division for? If the square there starts to get blown out, like there's a huge enemy surge, or if the enemy all of a sudden starts pouring into the courtyard and ignores the square. They do that sometimes. In fact, you can see some of them are sort of going past the square. That's when you would use that second division. There's 2 options. You can have them charge. I would prefer you just close the gate. Right? In other words, just did this with the second division. Now, I'm not actually going to do that. I'm just going to tell these guys to stop. In fact, let's just put these guys in a shield wall. That way, any of those guys that have ammo left can shoot. But if the enemy was pouring in here, that's exactly what I would do. Just gets his head cut off. Now, normally I would say don't do this, but we're going to do a little bit of sniping here because this siege is already over. In fact, away they go. They actually went too fast here. These guys are denying Jacob's character here 175 siege skill. I'm going to try to kill a few of these guys as they leave. We want to shoot our crossbow from horse, right? And these guys here, they died too quickly. Now, the worst loss from this whole battle are the troops that we lost at the beginning, right? I don't remember what the number was, but it was like 60 to 80 troops as we broke into the castle. I'll talk about that here. I don't know that I can be able to kill him. We're doing 2 little damage. How do we do there? Oh, we're 1 short. We'll rectify that soon. And there's a ton of deaths here. We don't have the death for all mod. This is just random. The Khazad is being exterminated. The Northern Empire is being exterminated. We're gaining levels. And of course, you're working your way towards these kingdoms crying uncle. That's what the entire process of peace right now. We're just trying to get some of these kingdoms to fucking take it easy and not want 12,000 for war. If we can diminish their armies, the closer you get your kingdom strength to them, the more likely these bitches are to saying, oh, yeah, you know what, we want peace. We're getting some nice armor here for you. I'll probably, at some point or other, talk about your companions. He did mention the companions. In fact, I saw that knowing guy. Let's look at him real quick. Khazad force here. Let's release our attack dog division here and see if we can't track down these Khazad forces. Looks like one of them is going to get away, but we caught the other one. The guy, the knowing, that's usually either, if I remember right, either a medicine character or an engineer, right? Both of those are very valuable in a campaign because when you get to Kingdom State, at this stage, you're looking for candidates for their own clan or candidates to lead armies, right? This guy, if I remember right, he had a bunch of warriors basically leading some of his army groups. He has... where's this guy? Gur the Mad. Right, this is not a group leader. Now, he's leading a group. You can do that, but look at how inefficient he is at leading a group. In fact, he doesn't have a single perk for any of the skills here that benefit a leader. He doesn't even have tactics. This is kind of a disaster. And Jacob, I don't mean that negatively, but let the warriors eat, right? Let these guys smash their way through the enemy. In fact, he's got nice warrior skills. We'll pump up his bow skill a little bit here. I think athletics would probably be my preference. We can pump up his riding also by putting that point there. But let your smart guys lead parties. And here, this is perfect. It's almost like Jacob knew we wanted to do this. This is where you start to funnel points towards this intelligence. Does he look like a scary warrior to me? This guy looks like a dipshit. He looks like Hitler's long-lost granddad or something like that. We're going to give this guy more intelligence. He can be devious, and we're going to give him engineering skills. In fact, you're going to need an engineer, so we're going to start to funnel points towards making this guy a good engineer. The best way to do it, of course, is to make him the specialist for your clan. So let's go ahead and make sure he's the specialist. Also, do we have a scout? Yeah, so we need this scout too also. It looks like at one point or another he had that person being a scout because she has a lot of scouting. But you want to set these party specialists, right? Now, Jacob, 124 on his main character here, which isn't terrible, but not a lot of points spent there. And this frees us up, right? That knowing guy can be our engineer. You might ordinarily push points to engineering here. Instead, now we can do other things here, right? I haven't made quite a decision yet. You definitely want to do this shit, right? We're going to punch in a few of these perks, including these last two. These are huge, right? You get 2 perk points. It's probably one of the best, most powerful a couple things in the game. So let's see. Probably crossbow, right? You're really better off as a commander unless you become very adept at combat with this kind of combat skills, 160, 100 at being a ranged unit, right? Work on your ranged killing power, and then once your ranged killing power is good, then you can start working on this other stuff, because by then you'll have good armor, you'll have more experience, you'll be a lot more comfortable in combat, right? So I might even suggest punching some crossbow skill here. In fact, we'll just do that. The athletic situation is kind of frozen out, but that's okay, right? It's going to be very difficult to get up to here anyways. I'm not quite sure what I want to do, actually, with this attribute point. I think we'll just do this. Now, I don't want to spend like a half hour sort of sorting through these different things right now. But at some point or other, we'll take a closer look at his character. But I do want this engineer, right? This guy, look at the learning rate, +10. And hopefully we can get him in a siege, where we can get that guy in a siege tower. Some of the guys know how to do that already, but a lot of people don't, right? Now this castle, fuck it, right? We're just going to let it go. And we're going to try to fix the heartland here. Now, suggestions here would be Saronia, right? Really take it to the Northern Empire here. Really give them a beating. But I think at this stage, we're actually going to stop episode 1. I try to make these 45 minutes, give or take. I think that was a pretty good objective. Couple critical battles there. We learned a little bit about Hakoon Castle. That was sort of vacillation on my part. I probably shouldn't have gone there in the first place. But at least we were able to save Yogurtis Castle, and we can figure out what to do at this stage in the next episode. So, of course, if you want to see more from this series, more from this Disasters of War series, where we go through and handle people's difficult situations, you want to subscribe, let us know if you got a difficult situation, and you can just email it to me with some details to the email address in the video description. Of course, please subscribe, hit that like button, all the normal things us you nerd YouTubers are supposed to say. And with all that said, friends, I will see you next time.